Now, several laps into the session, Daniel Kosick looks to refine their line and timing. Vontakis is just finding his feet through T1 as we get things moving with 51 minutes still on the clock. Daniel Kosick is just rolling out of the lane now with plenty of time left to find a rhythm.
This early in the session, it is all about checking the brake bias and making sure the car is pointing where you want it. No need for heroics yet.
Still no time on the board for John Vontakis, but he is staying out there, likely scrubbing in a set of tires.
He is taking his time. Sometimes you just need those first few laps to get the peripheral vision locked in before you really start leaning on the car.
Adam Tyus wastes no time at all, punching in a 105.5 to claim the top spot early on.
Cochise slots into second, only 0.02 off Tyus through T5. Those two are already pushing each other.
Tyus is still the benchmark here. That 105.5 is holding up for now.
He looks settled. When you can find that kind of pace in the first 10 minutes, it usually means the car balance was spot on right out of the trailer.
Vontakis just went purple. A 104.7 puts him straight to the top of the sheets.
That is a massive jump. He was biding his time, and now he is nearly a second quicker than the rest of the field.
just improved slightly through T9, but he is still sitting in P3 for the moment. Tyus has slipped down to third now, as the track starts to rubber in and the times drop.
He will be looking at those sectors for Buntakis and wondering where that extra second is hiding. Probably mid-corner rotation.
Kokexis finds another 10th through the final sector, bringing that personal best down to a 1:05.4.
He is chipping away at it. Through T9, he looked much more stable on the exit than he did 5 minutes ago.
Tyus is finding his rhythm now, breaking into the 104s to reclaim second place.
He used every inch of the curb through T8 there. You can tell he is starting to trust the aero package a lot more.
Kokexis finds another small gain, keeping himself firmly in that P3 slot with a 1:05.3.
Jared Hallam is finally out on circuit, working through T4 on his outlap to see what the grip levels are like.
Tyus is absolutely flying, just 0.08 of a second off Buntakis now.
He is hunting him down. Look at the commitment through T4. He is carrying so much more entry speed than his previous run.
Hallam still rolling through his first flying lap, currently negotiating T3.
He is being very cautious with his steering inputs. It is vital to get the tire pressures up to the operating window before you really ask for the grip.
Coach just hits the 1:05 flat mark, keeping the pressure on the 2 leaders from third.
Solid first effort from Hallam, popping into fourth, and only 0.08 behind Kosis as he works back through T3.
Kokax is holding steady in third, but with Hallam breathing down his neck, he will need to find another gear soon.
Hallam is really finding his feet. Now, that gap to Kosis is virtually non-existent.
Kosis is stuck in that 105 flat range, just struggling to bridge the gap to the leaders.
He might be hitting a ceiling with the fuel load he is carrying. If he is on a long run, that consistency is actually more impressive than a single flying lap.
Jarrett Hallam is back in the first sector, trying to find that fraction of a second that will jump him over Coxis.
He looks aggressive through T2. You can see the car dancing on the limit, just trying to rotate early so he can get back to the power.
Kush is holding P3 as we approach the 40-minute mark, still looking for a way into the 104s.
Hallam is really working that front left through T2, trying to shave off those 8,000ths to move up the order.
Koshis remains in third, but the pace at the front is starting to leave the rest of the field behind.
Tyus is sitting pretty in second, likely back in the pits now, making some fine adjustments to the dampers.
Kokax is still looking to crack that top two, but he is currently 4/10 adrift of the pace set by Tyus. Tyus is keeping a very close watch on the timing screens from second place as the clock ticks down.
He is in the garage, probably debating whether to burn another set of softs or just focus on his race trim for the remainder of the session.
Kusha still hasn't found an answer for the frontrunners, maintaining P3 as the session reaches the 36-minute mark. Is still glued to the back of Kotsis on the timing screen, just under 100th separating them.
In practice, that kind of gap is basically a rounding error. He'll be looking at his data traces to see if he can find that tiny margin in the braking zones.
Thijs is still our second fastest man on track, but he's not currently out there trying to better that 104.7.
Hallam is staying patient in fourth, likely focusing on tire deg now rather than chasing ultimate lap time.
Kokexis holding that third position for now, but he has been quiet on the timing screens for a few laps.
He might be doing some high fuel testing. It is easy to get caught up in the qualifying glory, but this is when you win the race on Sunday by understanding how the car behaves when it is heavy.
Hallam remains in P4, 34 minutes remaining, to see if he can break into the top three.
Kossis is back out and working through T6. Let's see if he can finally find that 10th he needs to gap Hallam.
Thijs is back on top. A 104.5 puts him nearly 2/10 clear of Baltakis. Niall Geokeegan is just entering the fray with just over 32 minutes left on the clock.
He is late to the party, so he has a lot of rubber on the track to work with, but he has to get up to speed quickly to make the most of this session. Caucasus is pushing the limits of the track through T10, searching for any mechanical grip left in those tires to improve on that P3.
Tyus is still the man to beat, sitting at the top with that 1:04.5 as the clock continues to wind down.
He has found a really nice flow. When you are in that zone, the car feels like an extension of your own body, and the lap times just come naturally.
Hallam is stuck in fourth, just over half an hour left to find the pace needed to challenge Coxey's.
Tyus looks comfortable out there, but you can bet he's watching the intervals closely to see if anyone can match his pace in the final sectors.
Geoghegan puts his first representative time on the board, a 1:06.1, slotting him into P5.
He is just getting his eye in through T1. It is a massive adjustment jumping into a session when everyone else already has 30 minutes of rubber under them.
Hallam holding on to fourth, but Geoghegan is starting to close that gap from behind.
Bontekis is currently sitting in second, but he will be frustrated to see Tyus sitting 2/10 clear of him right now.
Tyus is still the benchmark as we enter the final half hour of this practice session.
Geoghegan finds another 4/10 to bring it down to a 1:05.7. He's gradually reeling in that pack ahead of him.
Bantakis is working through T8, looking to see if there's any more time to be found in the car setup to challenge for P1. Chris Stokes is just getting his session started, leaving him with a little over 25 minutes to figure out this track.
He has got a mountain to climb now. Missing the first half of the session means he is going to have to skip the long runs and go straight into qualifying prep.
Gio Keegan is keeping it steady through T6, still holding on to 5th place.
He is definitely gaining confidence. You can see him taking a bit more curb now, trusting that the suspension can handle the hits without upsetting the car.
Stokes is finally out on circuit, but he is going to have to get a move on with only 25 minutes left on the clock.
He is on his outlap now. I have been there. Starting late is a massive mental hurdle because you feel like you are constantly playing catch-up with the track surface.
Bontakis chips away at the lead. A 104.6 brings him slightly closer to Tyus' benchmark.
Hallam is down in P5 now, and working through T9, he'll be feeling the pressure to respond to the times being set around him.
Gio Keegan has dropped to 6th, currently navigating the technical T5 section as he looks to fight back.
He's falling down the order as others find their pace. He needs to stop worrying about the lap time and just focus on hitting his apexes through this mid-track complex.
Hallam is holding steady in 5th, but he is nearly half a second off that top 4 battle now.
He looks like he is struggling with the transition from braking to turn-in. If you don't get the nose pointed early here, the rest of the lap is just a rescue mission.
Nigel Walters finally makes an appearance on track with 23 minutes remaining.
Better late than never, but he is going to have to find his rhythm in a hurry. The track is at its grippiest right now, so he needs to take advantage of it.
Gio Keegan is still sitting in 6th, really needing to find that extra spark to jump back into the mix.
He looks a bit tentative on the brakes. At this stage, you've got to start trust NG the downforce to do its job and stop overthinking every corner.
Tyus has been bumped down to 2nd, and he is pushing through T6 now to see if he can take that top spot back.
He is really leaning on the car through that mid-corner phase. You can see the rear end stepped out just a fraction there. as he asked for the power.
Walters puts his first time in, the 1069, good for 7th place currently.
He is just exploring the limits through T4. It's a banker lap. Nothing spectacular, but it gives him a baseline to work from for the rest of the session.
Gio Kagan holding P6 as we go under 21 minutes to go. He's got work to do to catch the lead pack.
Big improvement from Walters. He jumps up to 6th with a 1:05.2, immediately putting himself ahead of Gio Keegan.
Tyus is keeping a close watch on the times from 2nd place. Less than 20 minutes left to find another 10th. Walters is back through T3, looking much more confident now that he's moved up to 6th.
He's really tightened up his line through that section. Taking a bit more curb there is helping him stay flatter through the apex.
Hallam is also navigating T3, trying to respond to Walters, jump in the standings.
He needs to be careful not to overdrive. When someone behind you finds time, the temptation is to lunge at the brakes, but that usually just kills your exit speed.
Bautikis has slipped to 3rd now, sitting just a couple of tenths off the pace with 18 minutes left on the clock. Gio Keegan has fallen to 7th place, currently searching for time through T8.
He is struggling to get the car rotated there. It looks like he is fighting a bit of understeer on the entry, which is making his mid-corner speed suffer.
Martin Mal is a very late arrival, rolling out with just 17 minutes to make something happen.
Gio Keegan is really pushing through T7, trying to claw back some ground before the session ends.
Walters is holding steady in 6th, currently navigating his way through T8 as he looks for another gain. Mole slots into 8th on his first flyer, a 1:05.9.
Not a bad start at all, considering how little time he has. He's already within 2/10 of Geoghegan, which should wake a few people up on the timing stand.
Hallam is still occupying 5th place, but that gap to the front 4 is remaining stubborn.
I suspect he's working on a specific setup change. Sometimes you sacrifice a few tenths in practice just to make sure the car is predictable for the actual race.
Tyus improves his time to a 1:04.4, but he is still in P3 as he works through T5.
Geoghegan is hanging on to 7th, but with only 14 minutes left, he needs to find a way to get back into the 105s.
Walters is deep into T10 now, trying to carry that momentum onto the straight and keep hold of 6th place. Bounticus is back on top. He smashes out a 1:04.3 to reclaim P1 with 13 minutes to go. Hallam finds a big chunk of time. A 1:04.6 moves him up to 4th and closer to the podium battle.
He finally found that rotation he was looking for. He looked much more aggressive on the throttle exit that time around.
Mull is holding 8th place, still trying to find his feet after that late start to the session.
Kosis drops into the 104s, but it only keeps him in 5th place for now as the rest of the pack is picking up the pace too.
Matthias is sitting in third, less than a tenth away from second place as we approach the final 10 minutes.
He's definitely in striking distance. The track temperature usually drops a bit at this stage, so we might see one final burst of speed from everyone.
Bounticus remains the man at the top of the mountain with 10 minutes left to run.
He looks untouchable right now, but a lot can happen when the qualifying simulations start in these closing minutes.
Where did that come from? Martin Mull goes fastest of all with a 1:04.1.
He just silenced the paddock. To jump into the session late and put it on top of the sheets by nearly 2/10 is absolutely clinical.
Walters improves to a 1:04.8, maintaining 6th place in a very fast top group.
Everyone is finding speed now. The track is at its absolute prime, and you can see the drivers are really starting to hang it all out there.
Giagigan is still in 8th, and he's now over a second and a half off Mull's incredible pace.
Walters is pushing through T6, trying to see if there's any more time in those tires before the session concludes.
Kokexis has dropped to 7th, and he's going to need a big final run to get back towards the podium spots. Martin Mull is still holding on to that top spot as we head into the final 7 minutes.
He's in the pits now, he's set the mark, and now he's just watching the timing screens to see if Buntakis or Tyus have an answer.
Very late entry for Thomas Kruger Dorado. He has just 7 minutes to get a lap in.
This is a bold strategy. He is essentially going to get one out lap and one flyer. Talk about putting yourself under the microscope immediately.
And another one. Phil Bodkin is joining the party with less than 7 minutes remaining.
It's a crowded track for a late start. He's going to have to find a gap in the traffic just to get a clean run at a banker lap.
Dominic Fovargu is out of the pits now, cutting it very fine with less than 6 minutes on the clock.
Maul is still the king of the mountain. That 1041 is looking harder and harder to beat as the session winds down.
Fovargu's still on his out lap. He really needs to make this count with under 5 minutes to go.
There is no room for error here. If he goes wide or has a moment, he basically forfeits any chance of a representative time before the checkered flag.
What a lap from Bodkin. He jumps straight into third with a 104.3, right on the heels of the leaders. Gio Keegan has tumbled down to 11th as the late Chargers find their pace.
It's brutal out there. You can do a decent lap, but if you don't keep improving as the track evolves, you just get swallowed up by the field.
Maul is just showing off now. He lowers the benchmark to a staggering 103.5.
He's in a different postcode. Through T3, he looked like he was on rails. That is a statement lap if I've ever seen one.
Tyus is down in 6th and pushing hard through T2 to try and find a way back into the top 5.
He's over half a second off Maul now. That's a huge gap to bridge. In 3 minutes, he'll be scratching his head at that 103.5.
Kokakius improves his time, but he's stuck in 8th. This field is incredibly deep today.
He is only a second off the lead, but in this pack, that second is the difference between the podium and the back half of the top 10.
Rich Snape is leaving it for the very last second, just joining the session with 2 minutes to go.
Fovarg absolutely nails it. He slots into second place with a 104.0 as he flashes through T5.
Snape is onto his one and only flyer now, 30 seconds to get a time on the board. The checkered flag is out, and Daniel Koussis finishes the session in 9th place.
He'll be disappointed with that. He had the pace early on, but he just couldn't keep up with that massive late session surge from the others.
Snape pulls it out of the bag at the death. A 104.3 puts him straight into P4.
Talk about high stakes. One lap to get it right, with zero room for error, and he absolutely delivered under pressure.
Lemrick is through T9 on his final attempt, still looking for his first timed lap.
He is cutting it paper thin. He has to cross that line before the clock hits 0, or this entire outing was just for data gathering.
Sam Zero is currently in the final sector, working through T10 as he looks to put a time on the sheets.
He needs to be tidy here. If he gets a good exit onto the main straight, he's got enough time for at least 2 proper flying attempts.
The engines are revving up, and the drivers are ready to hit the gas pedal for this qualifying session at Valerbanen. It looks like David Constable-Berry is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to warm up those tires and get everything just right.
Patience is key in these early moments, Hal. But I have a feeling DCB is going to make it count.
Adam Tyus is just starting to wind it up through T6. Nearly 19 minutes left on the clock for him to find a rhythm and get a representative time on the board. Kruger Dorado working his way through T9 now, still looking for his first timed lap of the afternoon.
He is taking his time to build core temperature in those tires. At this stage, you are just feeling out the grip levels before you really lean on the car.
18 minutes and change left in this session, and we are still waiting to see what David Constable-Berry can produce for his opening gambit. Constable-Berry flashes across the line with a 1:04.9, and that puts him straight to the top of the timing pylon.
Decent banker lap, but he left a bit of time on the table in the final sector. He will be looking to tidy that up on the next go-around.
Jareth Hallam is absolutely locked in right now, hovering just 100th of a second off his previous best as he hunts for a spot higher than 4th. Lemrick is only just threading through T2, taking his time to get this qualifying attempt started.
He is being very deliberate with his inputs. You do not want to cook the rears too early in the lap, or you will have zero traction by the time you reach the final sector.
17 minutes left, and Adam Tyus still hasn't posted a time. He's cutting it a bit fine if he wants multiple runs.
He might be waiting for the track to rubber in. It's a gamble, though. One yellow flag, and he's stuck at the back of the grid without a time recorded.
Constable-Berry is pushing hard through T10, but the dash shows he is 7/100ths down on that previous best.
He squeezed the curb a bit too much back there and lost his momentum. At this level, that tiny margin is the difference between the front row and mid-pack.
Martin Mall is absolutely flying, just 2/100ths shy of his personal best as he chases down that provisional pole position. Hallam is finding time early in the lap, 8/100ths up on his best as he clears T2. Gio Keegan's found nearly a 10th already through T1, really leaning on the car here.
He's much more aggressive on the turn-in than his last run. If he can keep that platform stable through the mid-corner, he'll jump right up from 11th.
Bounticus is purple through T1, up by 5/100ths as he looks to improve on that 4th place time. Martin Mole is on a tear through T8, 0.2 of a second, up on his best lap, and looking like a serious threat for the top spot. And there it is. Mole smashes a 1:03.8 to claim provisional pole with 15 minutes still to go. Nigel Walters is absolutely lit up through T10, nearly 4/10ths up on his best and set to skyrocket from 10th on the grid. Five minutes gone already, and Rich Snape hasn't posted a number. He is really taking his time to join the party.
He is likely looking for a clean gap in traffic. There is nothing worse than being on a flyer and catching a slower car in the final sector.
Sam Zero is bang on his personal best right now, matching his previous pace to the 1,000th as he works to climb out of 12th. Hallam's found over a 10.5 on this run. He's on a mission to claw his way back up the order. Gio Kagan is showing some real pace here, 1500ths up, as he tries to break into that top 10.
He looks much more settled on the brakes this time around. If he can nail the exit coming onto the main straight, that time will tumble.
Bodkin is absolutely destroying his previous best, 7/10 up through T10. This is a massive lap coming from Phil Bodkin. Rich Snape is finding his groove now, nearly 2/10 up on his initial best as he works the car through this lap. Sam Zero is finally finding some significant time, over a quarter of a second up on his best as he aims to move up from 13th. Bodkin isn't done yet. He's already found nearly 2/10 more through T6 as he hunts down a front row start. Bodkin crosses the line with a 1:04.1, and that vaults him right up into third place.
That was a tidy lap. He used every inch of the road on the exit of the final turn, really maximizing the momentum to the stripe.
Nickel is right on the bubble, just a single hundredth of a second up on his best as he pushes to climb from 13th.
He needs to be careful not to overdrive the car here. When you are that close to your limit, it is so easy to miss an apex and throw the whole lap away.
Well past the halfway mark, and Joel Limerick is only just working through T3 without a time to his name.
It's a high-pressure strategy. He's relying on the track being at its absolute fastest right now, but he's got zero margin for error if he makes a mistake.
Walters is trimming more time off his best, a tenth of a second up as he tries to break into that single-digit territory.
He is finding a lot of time in the mid-corner phase now. Those tires are right in the window, and he is clearly trusting the front end a lot more.
The provisional pole sitter Martin Moll is through T6, but he's 2/10 off his own benchmark at the moment.
He might have pushed a bit too hard into the earlier complex and overheated the surface of the tires. Sometimes you have to back off to go faster.
Niall Giogagan is on a much better run here, over 2/10 up on his previous best.
He's finally found the confidence to really attack those curbs. If he keeps this up, he'll be knocking on the door of the top 10 very soon.
Nickel is absolutely finding time now. Over 3/10 up on his previous markers, we tick under the 11-minute mark. Nickel improves to a 1:05.2, moving him up to 12th as we reach the midway point of the session. Rich Snape is looking sharp through T9, finding 1400ths as he hunts for a better starting spot.
He's keeping the car very tidy through these technical sections. It's all about precision here. One small slide, and that delta will turn red in an instant.
Stokes is finding more time, 1300ths up on his best as he looks to break onto that front row. Stokes hits the line, and it's a 1:04.0. That's enough to jump him into third place.
He really committed to the final corner there. You could see the car dancing on the limit, but he kept it pinned to the exit.
Kruger Dorado is on a flyer through T10, nearly 2/10 up, and looks set to haul himself further up the order. Walters is showing early pace again, 1300ths up through T2 as he tries to salvage something from 12th. Sam Zero is currently down in 16th, but this lap looks much more promising. He's 2/10 up on his best so far. Rich Snape is hunting for more through T7, 1300ths up on his best and looking to move forward from 6th. Walters is maintaining that advantage, still 1400ths up as he winds up for the second half of this lap. Hallam is really finding his stride through T8 2/10 up on his previous marker and moving with some serious intent. Jareth Hallam jumps up to 6th with a 1:04.3, a solid improvement with 7.5 minutes left. Martin Mull is absolutely flying through T8, over a quarter of a second faster than his own pole time. He's looking to put this out of reach. Unbelievable. Martin Mull just lowered the benchmark even further with a 1:03.6.
He is in a league of his own right now. That car looks like it is on rails, and he is extracting every ounce of grip available.
Bountakis is right on the limit of his best pace, matching his time exactly as he hunts for any fraction of a second to move up from 8th. Nigel Walters is mirroring his best lap time almost perfectly here, searching for any small gain to break into that top 4. Sam Zero is on an absolute flyer, 2/3 of a second up on his best as he looks to escape the back of the grid.
He finally found the line through the technical sector. If he can keep his head and nail the final braking zone, this is going to be a massive jump.
Walters is finding even more pace through T7 1400ths up and really putting the pressure on the cars ahead.
He's carrying so much more mid-corner speed now. You can see he's trusting the aero to stick as he gets back on the power earlier than before.
Lemrick is struggling to find more pace, currently 2/10 down on his best as he sits in 16th with under 6 minutes remaining. Kruger Dorado is nearly 3 seconds off the pace through T10. That lap is gone. He'll have to reset and go again with the time left. Stokes is just slightly off his best pace, 1500ths down, but he's still got time to find that fraction of a second needed for the front row. Bodkin is right on his own limit, just a single hundredth of a second faster as he pushes to reclaim a top 3 spot. Sam Zero is finding even more time now, nearly 2/10 up on his best as he claws his way toward the top 10. Lemrich is finally finding some green on the dash, a 1/10 of a second up through T7 as the clock ticks down.
He needs this lap to stick. He's been languishing at the back, and with only 4 minutes left, he might only have one more shot after this.
Lemrick improves slightly with a 105.2, but it's not enough to move him up from 16th with under 4 minutes to go. Adam Tyus is on the move, finding a tenth of a second as he looks to break into that top 6 in the final minutes. Lemrich is really digging deep now, finding nearly 2/10 through the T5 section as the pressure mounts.
He's finally getting the rotation he needs in the mid-corner. If he can just tidy up the exit, he'll finally make some real progress up this leaderboard.
Rich Snape is just a fraction off his best through T6, trailing by 0.08, but he's still within striking distance of an improvement. A marginal gain for Snape. He shaves a tiny bit off his time with a 104.4, but he remains in 9th place. Hallam is finding time in the closing stages, 0.12 up, as we enter the final 2 minutes of the session.
He is really hustling that car now. You can see the rear end stepping out slightly on power, but he is keeping it pinned. This is high-stakes stuff.
Sam Zero is just 0.03 up through T8. It's marginal, but every 1,000th counts as he tries to break into the top 12. Kruger Dorado is on an absolute mission, over 0.3 up on his best, with just 2 minutes left on the clock.
This is the one he needs. He's found a great pocket of air, and the car looks incredibly balanced. He could jump 5 or 6 spots if he finishes this.
Sam Zero is flying early in this lap, already a 1/4 of a second up through T2.
He is really maximizing the track width now. If he can keep this momentum through the middle sector, he's going to make a massive jump up the standings.
Lemrick is finding a 1/10 of a second as the final minute approaches, desperately trying to pull himself off that 16th spot. Constable Barry is picking up pace through T10 1600ths up as he makes his final bid for a better grid slot.
He's much tighter to the apex than on his previous run. That discipline is going to pay off when he hits the timing beam.
Kruger Dorado is holding on to a 2/10 advantage as we enter the final minute of qualifying. Constable Barry is 1,500ths up through T7 with just 30 seconds to go. It's now or never.
He is absolutely wringing the neck of that car. You can see it squirming under braking, but he's refusing to back down.
Kruger Dorado is 0.3 up with seconds left on the clock. He's about to make a huge move up the order. Kruger Dorado stays in 10th for now, unable to shave any more time off that 104.5 as the session enters its final moments. Kokusis is 1,400ths down through T1 on his final attempt. He's gonna have to find some magic in the middle sector.
The tires might be past their best now. After a few hard laps, that peak grip just falls off a cliff, especially if you've been sliding around.
Sky, the drivers are lined up and ready. Should we get it on?
Yes, Hal. We should definitely get it. On.
Pole offers Martin Moll a chance to control the race. Dominic Fovarg looks incredibly focused on that front row, just waiting for the lights in that Civic Type R.
P2 is a great spot to be. If he can get that front-wheel drive power down early, he'll be a massive threat into the first corner.
Stokes is looming large in third, and you know he won't be content sitting behind Fovarg for long.
He's the pro in this mix. He'll be looking to exploit even the slightest hesitation from the guys ahead when those revs climb.
Phil Bodkin rounds out the second row, putting that EP3 right in the thick of the Pro-Am scrap. Nigel Walters is sitting in fifth, right in the slipstream of the front-runners as we wait for the gantry.
He needs to be careful not to get swallowed up. Starting mid-pack in these Civics is like being in a washing machine on the first lap.
Adam Tyus is buried a bit deeper than he'd like in seventh, but he's got plenty of car underneath him to make up ground.
The view from P7 is intimidating. He's got to pick his line early and hope the C's part when everyone anchors up for the first apex. Hallam is starting right in the danger zone, but he is savvy enough to know this race isn't won in the first 10 yards.
Rich Snape lines up in ninth, and he will be looking for any gap to open up once the pack starts to squeeze together.
Tough starting spot for Curderado, but he has the pace to work his way through that midfield traffic.
Daniel Kosic starts from 11th, and the Hungarian driver will need a clinical start to avoid the chaos ahead.
Constable Barry is staring at a wall of brake lights from 12th. It is all about survival and positioning for him during this opening sequence.
13th on the grid for Sam Zero, and he is going to have his work cut out for him to find some clean air. Niall Gagan starts from 14th, sitting right at the back of this pack of EP3s.
From that far back, you're just looking for a clear path. One mistake from the guys ahead, and he could make up 3 or 4 places before the first lap is done.
Darren Nickel props up the rear of the field in 15th, but don't count him out just yet.
It's a long way to the front, but starting at the back lets you see the accidents happening before you're in them. He just needs to stay patient.
The field gets moving behind the safety car, 15 Civics snaking their way around as we prepare for the start.
This is the time to get some heat into those front tires. If they're cold when the green flag drops, these cars will just wash wide at the first sign of a corner.
You can see the drivers weaving quite aggressively now, trying to scrub those tires and get the tread up to temperature.
I used to hate these slow formation laps. You're trying to keep the brakes warm without cooking the engine, all while keeping your eyes glued to the bumper in front.
Safety car in this lap.
The safety car is still holding the pack at a steady crawl, but you can feel the tension building as they head toward the final sector.
Look at the gaps they're leaving. They want to be able to stomp on the throttle the second that safety car dives into the pits.
It's a psychological game at this point. Everyone's trying to get that perfect launch while watching their rivals like hawks.
You're checking your mirrors, checking your dash, making sure your brake bias is exactly where you want it for that first big stop.
Nearly there now. The safety car is about to release them and let these naturally aspirated engines scream.
This is the quiet before the storm. You're gripping
Green,
your
green,
wheels so
green,
hard
let's
your
go.
knuckles turn white, just waiting for the green.
15 cars all vying for the same piece of tarmac. It's going to be absolute carnage if someone misses their marker.
The lead cars will try to back the pack up here. They want to control the tempo and catch the guys behind napping.
And it is green, green, green. 15 Honda Civics scream off the line, and it is a drag race toward the first turn.
Look at that launch from the second row. Everyone is jostling for position and trying to find a gap that isn't there.
Bounticus has been on a real charge, moving himself up into 6th, and he is right on the gearbox of Nigel Walters.
4/10 is nothing. Walters is having to check his mirrors every second because that Civic is getting larger and larger behind him.
Constable is hounding the back of Kosick as they work through this opening lap, just half a second between them.
With nearly 2 hours left on the clock, there is no need to be a hero yet, but you can see David is already looking for a way past that Hungarian driver.
Bodkin is absolutely glued to the rear bumper of Chris Stokes, just 4/10 back as they scrap for that final podium spot.
He's keeping Stokes honest. In these Civics, if you can stay in that slipstream on lap 1, you're in a perfect position to pounce the moment the tires come up to pressure.
Stokes has managed to find a bit of breathing room, stretching that gap out to 7/10 over Bodkin.
He's found his rhythm. That extra few tenths is crucial because it breaks the toe and forces Bodkin to work much harder to stay in touch.
Martin Mull is under immense pressure here in P2, with Chris Stokes absolutely hounding him, just 3/10 behind.
Stokes is smelling blood. Mull put in a solid 66-second lap, but he can't afford a single mid-corner mistake with a pro driver that close to his bumper.
Jareth Hallam is breathing down the neck of Adam Tyus, only 2/10 separating them as they fly through lap 2.
He's looking for the overlap everywhere. When you're that close in these cars, you're basically waiting for the guy in front to miss an apex by an inch so you can wedge the nose in.
Tyus has managed to put a bit of daylight between himself and Hallam, extending that gap out to over half a second now. Rich Snape is all over Jareth Hallam through T6, keeping that gap down to a razor-thin 3/10.
Snape just clocked a 55 flat, his best of the race. He carries so much more momentum through the mid-corner right now. Hallam is really going to have to get defensive.
Snape is staying incredibly disciplined here, refusing to let Hallam escape and maintaining that 3/10 gap.
It's a stalemate for now, but being that close for this long puts massive heat into the engine and the tires. One of them is going to blink soon.
Constable Barry is right on the tail of Kruger Dorado, just 2/10 in it as they hustle those Civics around on lap 4.
Hallam has lost a place to Snape, but he is fighting back immediately through T5, tucked right under that rear wing.
Snape has managed to break the immediate threat from Hallam, stretching that advantage out to half a second.
He's just found a little more traction on the exit. Hallam needs to settle down and stop overdriving if he wants to reel him back in.
Niall Gagan is hounding Kosick through T9, looking to snatch 12th place with that gap down to just 2/10. Gagan's done it. He makes the move stick on Kosick to take away 12th position.
Great execution there. He saw the gap, committed, and now he's the one who has to check his mirrors with Kosick still right there on his bumper.
It looks like Niall Gagan has dropped back behind Kosick. That gap has suddenly ballooned to 8/10.
Stokes is all over the back of Martin Mole through T6. He's looking for any excuse to dive down the inside.
Mole is holding firm for now, managing to keep Stokes about 4/10 back as they continue this high-speed chess match.
He's placing his car perfectly. When you're the lead car in a battle this tight, your lines have to be clinical to keep that pro behind you.
Bontakis is really finding his groove now, clocking a personal best and sitting just 4/10 behind Nigel Walters.
He's definitely finding time in the braking zones. You can see the car dancing on the limit as he tries to reel in that 5th position.
Bontakis has pulled it off. He gets past Walters for 5th, and there is absolutely nothing between them as they go wheel to wheel. Anyone who says that Virtual Velocity is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. It's like these drivers were born to race. They're weaving in and out of traffic, taking corners at unbelievable speeds, and making it all look effortless. It's clear that they've put in the time and effort to hone their skills.
Rich Snape is hunting down Adam Tyus through T7, keeping the pressure on with a gap of only 4/10.
Snape just set his fastest lap of the race. He's got the bit between his teeth now, and Tyus is going to have to get that Civic very wide to stay ahead.
Tyus has responded to the threat, just managing to edge away from Snape by another 1/10 of a second. Adam Tyus is right on the limit, just a 1/10 of a second behind Nigel Walters as they scream across the line to start lap 7. It looks like Tyus has actually lost a bit of ground, and Walters has managed to climb up to 5th while keeping that gap down to 2/10. Tyus is back up into 7th, but Nigel Walters is starting to pull away in 5th with the gap now out to 6/10.
Walters is managing that gap masterfully. He's putting cars between himself and Tyus to break that slipstream effect.
Tyus has Snape in his sights now, chasing him for 6th place with only 4/10 between the two English drivers. Tyus is chipping away at that lead, bringing the gap down to just 3/10 now as he harasses Snape.
This is where the mental game comes in. Snape can see Tyus dancing in his mirrors, and one missed shift is all it will take for a change in position.
Something has gone catastrophically wrong for John Bontakis. He's tumbled all the way down to 13th after a massive 16-second loss on that last lap.
That is heartbreaking after the charge he was on. He's clearly got the pace to be at the front, but now he's stuck fighting Gagan just to climb back into the top 12.
Bontakis isn't wasting any time. He's straight back past Gagan for 12th as they go side by side.
He's driving with a point to prove now. He's got a mountain to climb to get back to where he was, but that overtake was a statement of intent.
Niall Gagan has slipped down to 14th and is now trying to hunt down Darren Nicol, who holds half a second over him. Gagan is closing back in, finding a tenth of a second on Nicol as he looks to regain some ground.
Every tenth counts when you're mired at the back. He needs to get this done quickly before the leaders start disappearing into the distance.
Rich Snape is putting the heat on Nigel Walters for 5th, sitting just 2 tenths back after a blistering personal best lap. Snape's done it. He moves up into 5th place, but Walters is still right there on his quarter panel.
Brilliant move. He kept his composure and waited for the right opening. Now let's see if he can pull away or if Walters has a counterattack ready.
We've seen some incredible movement in these first 9 laps, especially that heartbreak for Bontakis after he looked so strong.
That's the thing with these front-wheel drive cars, Hal. You're asking the front tires to do all the steering and all the power delivery. One slip, one lockup, and you're a passenger.
It really rewards the drivers who can stay smooth while still being aggressive, like Snape, who's just picked off Walters.
Exactly. I remember racing at a track like this. You're constantly fighting the urge to over-rotate the car. If you get greedy with the throttle too early, you just cook the rubber and lose all your exit speed.
And with over 100 minutes still on the clock, we're only just scratching the surface of the tire degradation story here.
The smart drivers are already thinking about that. You can go flat out for 10 laps, but if you've got nothing left for the final hour, you're just a sitting duck.
Phil Bodkin is holding steady in 4th, but that gap to Chris Stokes has opened up to nearly a full second now.
He's just fallen out of that critical slipstream range. Without the tow, Bodkin is going to have to find some serious pace on his own to keep the podium in sight.
The gap remains static at 9 tenths. Bodkin is matching Stokes' pace, but he just can't seem to reel him back in. Daniel Kosick is sitting in 10th and looking to make a move on Jareth Hallam, trailing by only 4 tenths of a second. Kosick is definitely closing the distance, shaving another tenth off Hallam's lead as they head into the next sequence of turns.
He's much more confident on the brakes right now. If he can get a good exit and use the draft, he'll be looking for a way past before the lap is out.
Adam Tyus is under immense pressure here in 7th, with Thomas Kruger-Dorado stalking him just 4 tenths behind.
Tyus dropped nearly 2 seconds on that last lap compared to his best. He's struggling for rhythm, and Kruger-Dorado can clearly smell blood in the water.
Kruger-Dorado has done it. He pounces on Tyus and takes 7th place, and they are still practically touching.
That was a clinical pass. Tyus didn't have an answer for that speed, and now he's the one who's going to have to find a way to stay in the fight.
Daniel Kosick has whittled the gap down to just 2 tenths as he harasses Jareth Hallam for 9th. Hallam manages to find a bit of breathing room, stretching that gap back out to half a second over Kosick.
He used the road well there to break Kosick's momentum. It's so frustrating when you think you've got the move ready, and the car in front just finds that extra gear.
Kruger-Dorado is carrying massive speed through T5, closing in on Nigel Walters for 6th place.
He's got the momentum after that pass on Tyus. Walters really needs to nail this exit, or he's going to find himself defending into the next heavy braking zone.
Phil Bodkin has found his second wind. He's reeled Chris Stokes back in, and that gap is down to just 4 tenths.
He's back in the hunt. Being able to close that gap back down after losing the tow shows Bodkin has some serious reserves of pace in that Civic.
Stokes has put the hammer down once again, opening that cushion back up to 9/10 over Bodkin.
This is a real yo-yo battle. Every time Bodkin gets close, Stokes seems to find that extra tenth to keep himself safe from a lunge.
Adam Tyus is looking over his shoulder now, with Jareth Hallam sitting just 3/10 back and eager to snatch 8th.
Tyus has to stop watching the mirrors and focus on his apexes. If he misses one mark, Hallam is going to have the nose of that Honda right up the inside.
Kosic is still right there in 10th, keeping Hallam within 4/10 as this midfield train continues to roll. Stokes has lost the podium spot to Bodkin, but he's already fighting back, just a single 10th behind as they fly into lap 14. Something's happened. Stokes has fallen nearly 3 seconds back from Bodkin in the blink of an eye.
He must have had a moment or a huge lockup. To lose 2.5 seconds that quickly in this car usually means you've gone off the track or had a massive slide.
Tyus is trying to mount a comeback against Kruger Dorado, maintaining a gap of 4/10 as he looks to reclaim 7th.
He's struggling for consistency, though. That nearly 66-second lap shows he's fighting the car more than he's fighting his rivals right now.
Daniel Kosic has moved up into 9th, and he's keeping Adam Tyus well within his sights, just 4/10 back. Kosic is relentless, shaving another 10th off that gap to Tyus as he smells an opportunity for 8th.
He's really pressuring him now. You can see Tyus is having to take defensive lines, which is only going to hurt his momentum even more.
Kruger Dorado is holding on in 7th, but Nigel Walters is starting to creep away with a 6/10 lead. That gap is widening further. Walters has managed to squeeze out another 10th over Kruger Dorado. Daniel Kosic remains just 4/10 behind Adam Tyus as they continue this tense battle for 9th position.
They're matched for pace right now, which is the most frustrating thing for a chasing driver. He needs Tyus to make a mistake, or he's going to have to send one from deep.
Kosic is back on the attack. He's halved the gap and is now just 2/10 behind Tyus' bumper.
He's setting this up beautifully. He's sacrificed a bit of mid-corner speed to ensure he gets the power down earlier. Look at that run he's getting.
Sam Zero is lurking in 11th, just half a second behind Jareth Hallam as we cross the line for lap 16.
Zero is staying patient, but he needs to start making moves if he wants to catch that midfield group. Half a second is just outside the range where you can really force an error.
Tyus has managed to react to the pressure, stretching that gap back out to half a second over Daniel Kosic.
It's like a game of cat and mouse. Every time Kosic gets close, Tyus finds a bit of extra pace to break the toe and protect his 8th place.
He's through. Daniel Kosic makes the move and snatches 8th from Adam Tyus.
That was a committed overtake. He didn't hesitate, and now he's got to immediately shift into defensive mode because Tyus is right there looking to strike back.
Tyus is trying to respond after losing that position, keeping Kosic within 3/10 as we head into the 100-minute mark. Tyus is hounding him. He's closed the gap to just 0.2. He wants that 8th place back immediately. The excitement is palpable. This is going to be a race for the ages.
The drivers are executing their strategies to perfection, making the most of every opportunity. This is what top-level racing is all about.
Wait, Kosick has lost the spot through T1. He's back down to 9th and trailing Tyus by 0.2.
He got too greedy on the brakes there. In these front-wheel drive cars, if you miss that apex by an inch, you leave the door wide open, and Tyus wasn't going to miss that opportunity.
Tyus is making the most of that lead, stretching the gap out to half a second as they settle into their positions.
Kosick is going to be kicking himself. He did all that hard work to get past, just to hand it back. Now he's got to deal with the dirty air all over again.
Sam Zero is working hard through T8, holding on to 11th place with John Bountakis just 0.6 back.
Bountakis is recovering well, but Zero is placing that Honda perfectly to prevent any looks down the inside. He's making that car very wide right now.
Stokes is right back on the bumper of Phil Bodkin. Only 0.3 separates him from a return to the podium. Bodkin just manages to find another 1/10 of breathing room, holding that gap at 0.4 for the time being.
He's being very smart about his defensive lines. He's not over-defending, just making sure Stokes doesn't get that easy run into the braking zones.
Daniel Kosick is hanging on in 9th, keeping the pressure on Tyus with only 0.3 between them. He's right there. Kosick has closed to within 1/10 of a second. He's looking for the overtake right now.
He's tucked into the draft. If he can just stay close enough through this final corner, he's going to have a massive run on Tyus down the main straight.
Dominic Fovarg is putting on a masterclass at the front, leading the race by 0.7 over Martin Mull as we hit lap 20. Mull isn't letting him go that easily. He's pulled back 0.2 and is now just half a second behind the leader.
Fovarg cannot afford to relax. Even a tiny mistake in his gear shifts could allow Mull to close that gap and make it a real dogfight for the lead.
What a jump for Daniel Kosick. He somehow vaulted up into 6th place, and he's got Tyus right on his heels.
He's made that move stick and then some. It looks like he may have capitalized on a multi-car scuffle to gain those extra positions. Brilliant opportunistic driving.
Early drama here as Chris Stokes dives into the pits from 4th place with over an hour and a half still to go.
This has to be tactical. He was struggling to get past Bodkin, so he's pulling the trigger on the undercut to try and find some clean air and leapfrog him later.
Niall Gagan finds himself in 12th, currently chasing Nigel Walters, who sits just over a second up the road.
He needs to put some consistent laps together now. Being in that 1 second window is no man's land. You're not getting the tow, but you're still working the tires hard to close up.
Niall Gagan follows suit, peeling off the circuit and heading into the pit lane from 13th.
The pit window is well and truly open now. This early stop will give him a chance to get some fresh rubber on the front and try to salvage something from the second half of this stint.
Kruger Dorado has had a shocker of a lap, losing nearly 9 seconds and falling back into 10th position.
He's lucky to still be in the top 10 after that. That 13-second lap suggests a spin or a trip through the gravel. He's got a massive gap to close now to get back to Tyus.
Rich Snape is circulating in 5th, but he has a mountain to climb with over 2 seconds to Daniel Kosick ahead. Snape has dropped even further back to 7th, and that gap to Kosick has exploded to nearly 7 seconds now. Rich Snape continues to slide down the order, falling to 8th as Kosick maintains a massive 7-second advantage over him.
Kruger Dorado is actually in 9th now, and despite that earlier mistake, he's managed to get within 6/10 of Adam Tyus.
Kruger Dorado is on a recovery mission, moving up to 7th and hounding Tyus for 6th. Jareth Hallam is currently in 8th, trying to stay in touch with Kruger Dorado, who has a 1.1 second lead. Hallam manages to scrape a 10th back, but he still has a full second to find to get into the slipstream of 7th place. Huge shout out to the admins at Virtual Velocity for making this all possible. Without their hard work and dedication, we wouldn't be able to witness this incredible event.
That's right, Hal. And the excitement is palpable. I can feel it in my circuits. I mean, this is the kind of race that people will be talking about in the bar. We're witnessing history in the making.
Hallam just set his fastest lap of the race, but the gap to Kruger Dorado remains stuck at 1 second flat. Hallam is slowly but surely chipping away at that lead, bringing the gap down to 8/10 now.
He's found something in that middle sector. If he can keep this momentum up for another 2 laps, he'll be right in a position to make a move into the heavy braking zones.
Kruger Dorado is chasing hard through T9, sitting 7/10 behind Adam Tyus as they battle for 6th.
He's definitely faster through this section. He just needs to be careful not to wash out in the dirty air and kill his front tires while trying to close that last half second.
He's closed the gap. Kruger Dorado is now just 4/10 behind Tyus as they push those Civics to the limit.
He's really putting the pressure on now. Tyus is going to have to be inch perfect through the final sequence of corners to keep him at bay.
Constable Barry is hounding Sam Zero through T5, sitting just half a second back after a personal best lap.
He's really hooked it up this time. You can see the confidence in his driving. He's taking a much more aggressive line through the apex than Zero is.
Jareth Hallam is on a flyer, setting another personal best and closing the gap to Kruger Dorado to just 6/10.
This whole group is starting to bunch up. Hallam is the fastest car on track in this specific battle right now, and he's dragging himself into the conversation for 6th place.
Hallam is relentless, finding another 10th and moving within half a second of Kruger Dorado's bumper. Constable Barry is right on the tail of Sam Zero through T4. Only 2/10 separates him from entering the top 10. He's done it. Constable Barry moves into 10th, snatching the position from Sam Zero in a brilliant wheel-to-wheel scrap. Sam Zero is trying to mount a counterattack, but Constable Barry has already managed to pull 5/10 clear. The gap continues to grow as Constable Barry stretches his lead to 7/10 over Sam Zero. Kruger Dorado is flying through T4, setting his best lap yet as he chases Adam Tyus for 6th.
He's found something in those tires. Even this far into the stint, he's still extracting more speed. Tyus has to be worried about that gap closing so rapidly.
Tyus is responding well, matching Kruger Dorado's pace and keeping that gap steady at 0.6.
It's a high-speed stalemate. Tyus is using every bit of the track to maintain his momentum, not giving Kruger Dorado an inch of an opening.
Sam Zero is struggling to keep pace, dropping back to half a second behind Constable Berry after a difficult lap.
He's over 2 seconds off his personal best. That's a sign of either tire wear or just pure frustration leading to mistakes. He needs to breathe and find his rhythm again.
David Constable Berry peels off into the lane from 11th place, deciding that lap 26 is the time to service that Honda.
He's coming in right as the field is starting to spread out. He'll be hoping for a lightning-fast stop to get back out there before Sam Zero has a chance to make that undercut work in reverse.
Kruger Dorado has lost a bit of ground to Tyus, with the gap now widening to 0.8.
You could see the car stepping out on him a bit through the last complex. He's pushing so hard to stay in that toe that he might be starting to ask too much of his front left tire.
That gap has finally hit the 1 second mark. Tyus is doing a brilliant job of breaking the slipstream and pulling away from Kruger Dorado. Jareth Hallam is lurking in 8th, keeping the pressure on Kruger Dorado with less than a second between them.
He's remarkably consistent. While the guys ahead are seeing their lap times fluctuate, Hallam is just putting in metronomic 48s. That's how you win the long game.
Kruger Dorado is working hard through T6 to maintain that 1 second buffer over Jareth Hallam.
He can't afford to let that gap slip any further. Once you're outside a second, you're on your own against the wind, and Hallam is definitely looking for any opportunity to bridge that gap.
Hallam is closing back in. He's brought the gap down to 0.8, refusing to let Kruger Dorado escape. Jareth Hallam is still 8th, keeping Thomas Kruger Dorado within 0.8 as they continue their battle through lap 28.
He's definitely the faster car right now. You can see him taking a much tighter line, trying to shorten the distance and get that nose into the slipstream for the main straight.
Constable Berry is back on track in 12th after his pit stop, and he's already within a second of Niall Gagan through T10.
He lost a huge amount of time in the pits. That 23-second lap shows he's got work to do. But with fresh rubber, he should be able to make short work of Gagan.
That fresh tire advantage is clear. Constable Berry has absolutely destroyed the gap. He's now just 0.2 behind Gagan. Niall Gagan has been jumped. Constable Berry has moved into 11th, leaving Gagan half a second behind in 12th.
Gagan's lap time was way off the pace there. He's clearly struggling with either his tires or his confidence after being overtaken so decisively.
John Bontakis is back in the mix, sitting in 9th and trailing Jareth Hallam by only half a second on lap 30. The gap remains static at half a second. Bontakis is matching Hallam's pace, but can't quite find the extra 10th to launch an attack.
This is the difficult part of the race. The initial adrenaline has worn off, and now it's about pure grind and focus to keep the car on the limit without making a mistake.
Kruger Dorado is still in 7th, but Adam Tyus is really putting the hammer down now, extending his lead to 1.5 seconds. Matthias is disappearing into the distance. The gap is out to 1.7 seconds now, as Kruger Dorado struggles to respond.
He's completely lost the tow. Without that aerodynamic help, he's going to find it nearly impossible to reel tie us back in, unless there's a mistake ahead.
Montakis is still in 9th, but Hallam has managed to edge away slightly, pushing the gap out to 7/10. Hallam has finally broken the 1-second barrier, leaving Bontakis with a lot of work to do to get back into contention for 8th. Jareth Hallam is right on the tail of Thomas Kruger Dorado, just 4/10 back as they scrap for 7th.
Look at that gap close. Kruger Dorado must have had a massive slide because Hallam has gained over half a second in just a few corners.
Well, it doesn't look like Bontakis is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Hallam. Bontakis is still in 9th, but he's managed to claw back 1/10 of a second on Hallam, bringing the gap down to 9/10. Daniel Kozik has fallen back to 13th, and he's now chasing Niall Gagan through T4 with 9/10 between them. Kozik is on a tear. He's absolutely demolished the gap to Gagan, bringing it down to just 3/10 in a single sector. John Bontakis is looking over his shoulder now, with Sam Zero sitting just 4/10 back in 10th place.
Bontakis is bleeding time. That nearly 66-second lap has invited Zero right into the battle, and now he's got to defend instead of looking forward.
Sam Zero has done it. He pounces on Bontakis and takes away 9th place, but John is staying glued to his bumper just a 10th back. Jareth Hallam is still in 8th, but Kruger Dorado has pulled out a significant lead of 1.5 seconds through T8. The gap remains locked at 1.5 seconds. Hallam is matching Kruger Dorado's pace, but he just can't seem to make any inroads.
He's hit a plateau. Those tires are likely at their peak temperature, and he's having to manage the slide more than he's attacking the corners.
John Bontakis has had another massive setback, dropping 6/10 behind Sam Zero after a disastrous 12-second lap.
That is a huge chunk of time to lose. It looks like he might have had another incident or a major error in one of the heavy braking zones. He's really struggling to stay consistent today.
Jareth Hallam is still pushing through T7, keeping that 1.5-second gap to Kruger Dorado as they continue lap 34. The gap remains exactly 1.5 seconds, showing just how evenly matched these two are as the race enters its second hour.
It's a game of patience now. They're both waiting for the other to make a tiny mistake, or for the pit strategy to play out. Neither is willing to give an inch.
Bontakis is falling further behind, with the gap to Sam Zero now extending over the 1-second mark. Bontakis is fighting back, managing to get that gap back under a second as he chases Zero for 9th.
He's got to keep that pressure on. Even if he can't pass immediately, staying within a second keeps the pressure on Zero and forces him to drive defensively.
Chris Stokes is currently in 4th, but he's got 1.7 seconds to make up if he wants to get back on the podium behind Phil Bodkin.
Stokes has the pace, but Bodkin is driving like a man possessed today. 1.7 seconds is a lot to bridge without some serious traffic or a mistake from the car ahead.
Buntakis is still in 10th, but he's reeled Sam Zero back in to within 7/10 after another difficult 12-second lap.
He's remarkably quick despite those massive lap time spikes. If he could just find some consistency, he'd be much higher up this leaderboard.
Sam Zero has responded to the threat, stretching the gap back out to a full second over John Buntakis. Stokes is chipping away at that lead, bringing the gap down to 1.5 seconds behind Bodkin.
He's definitely found a rhythm. If he can keep finding 2/10 a lap like that, he'll be right on Bodkin's bumper by the time we hit the final hour.
Bodkin isn't making it easy, finding an extra 10th to hold the gap at 1.6 seconds over Chris Stokes. John Buntakis is sitting 9th now, trailing Sam Zero by 9/10 as they battle for position.
Wait, he's actually in 10th. He's got to stay focused. Zero is driving a very disciplined race, and Buntakis is going to need every ounce of that Honda's performance to make a move.
Stokes is still 4th, keeping the gap to Phil Bodkin at 1.5 seconds as they continue lap 37. Stokes has found another 10th. He's now 1.4 seconds behind Bodkin and looking to keep that momentum going.
He's definitely stronger in the technical final sector. You can see him really rotating the car and getting a much cleaner exit onto the main straight.
Buntakis is all over the back of Sam Zero through T10, with the gap now down to just half a second.
He's really hooked it up through the final complex. If he can stay this close through the first turn, he's going to have a massive look at 9th place very soon.
He's made the move. Buntakis snatches 9th place from Sam Zero, and there is absolutely nothing between them.
Brilliant overtake. He took full advantage of that run through T10 and made it stick. Now he's got to immediately defend, because Zero isn't going to let that one go without a fight.
Sam Zero has actually retaken 9th place, and he's managed to pull out a 4/10 gap over John Buntakis. The battle for 9th is intensifying, with Zero holding a 4/10 advantage as Buntakis continues to shadow him.
This is proper wheel-to-wheel racing. Neither driver is giving an inch, and they're both exploring every part of the track to find that winning edge.
Buntakis is still in 10th, hanging onto Sam Zero's tail with only 4/10 between them as they push into the final 75 minutes. Buntakis is back into 9th. He's somehow found a way past Zero, and they are once again inseparable on the track. Sam Zero is now 10th, following John Buntakis by just 3/10 after a tricky lap 39.
He's lost a lot of time on that lap, nearly 2 seconds off his best. He's clearly struggling to find clean air behind Buntakis, which is cooking his front tires.
Sam Zero is back up into 9th, but Buntakis has actually managed to climb to 8th and pull out a half-second lead.
This whole pack has been reshuffled. Buntakis must have found a brilliant line or capitalized on an error from someone ahead to gain those extra spots.
Darren Nickel is lonely in 14th, currently trailing Niall Gagan by a massive 18 seconds. Nickel has moved up into 13th, but he's still got a mountain to climb with over 15 seconds to Gagan in 12th.
He's definitely finding some pace, though. Taking nearly 3 seconds out of that gap in such a short time shows he's finally got those tires into their happy window.
John Bantakas is currently in 8th and hounding Nigel Walters for 7th, with only 3/10 between them.
He's been on an absolute tear recently. Even with that 66-second lap, he's managed to bridge the gap and put Walters under some serious pressure.
Chris Stokes is looking secure in 4th for now, holding a comfortable 3.6-second lead over Thomas Kruger-Dorado. Wait, Stokes has dropped to 5th. Kruger-Dorado has somehow jumped him and now leads by over 2 seconds. Martin Mol is in total control at the front, leading the race by over 6 seconds over Dominic Fovarg.
He's been peerless today. That 63.8 is a phenomenal lap time, and he's clearly found a sweet spot with a car that no one else can match right now.
Darren Nickel is back in 14th, but he's making significant inroads into Niall Geigen's lead, now down to just over 10 seconds. Nickel is continuing his charge, bringing that gap to Geigen down to 9.1 seconds as he searches for a way back into the top 13. Kruger-Dorado peels off from 6th place and heads into the pit lane, a major move with 73 minutes remaining.
He had that brilliant run, but he obviously feels the tires are cooked. Getting some fresh rubber now could be a masterstroke if he can use that extra grip to bridge the gap later on.
Daniel Kosek is chasing hard through T9, sitting in 12th and trailing CM0 by 1.2 seconds.
He's just on the edge of that 1 second gap. If he can push a bit harder through this final sector, he'll have the toe down the straight, and that could be all he needs to get back into the points.
CM0 is the next one to dive into the pits, coming in from 12th place as the second round of stops really ramps up.
Everyone's starting to pit now. It's all about who can get in and out the cleanest and find that bit of track space to utilize their fresh tires without getting caught in traffic.
It's a game of inches now as Tyus tails Thomas Kruger-Dorado closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake. Tyus is in 8th now, and he's right on the back of Kruger-Dorado, trailing by only 4/10 after the latter's pit stop. During your racing career, Sky, did you have any specific techniques to regain concentration if you felt it slipping?
Yes, Hal. I had a few techniques. One was to take a couple of deep breaths and briefly reset my focus. Another was to use a specific keyword or phrase as a mental trigger to refocus my mind on the task at hand. Tyus must have also just visited the pits on that previous lap. That 86-second time tells the story, and he's come out right behind Kruger-Dorado.
It's all about consistency for Daniel, who is currently 11th.
That's right. They can't afford to make any mistakes or let up in their performance. Every point counts in this championship.
Kosik is still in 12th, but CM0 has managed to open up a 2.5-second cushion after their recent pit activity.
Kosik will be frustrated with that. He was closing in before the stops, but now he's got to do all that work again with the clock ticking down towards the final hour.
Kruger-Dorado is flying. He's just set his personal best and is now only 6/10 behind Constable Barry in 6th place. He's closing fast. Kruger-Dorado has shaved another 2/10 off that lead. He's now just 4/10 behind Constable Barry. Tyus is in 8th and trying to stay in touch, but he's already a full second behind the charging Kruger Dorado. Good news for Adam. The gap to Thomas has decreased. It's now down to 0.6 seconds. We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big thing.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Adam trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Thomas Kruger Dorado. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Adam Tyus close in enough to mount a challenge?
That's right. Adam Tyus in 8th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Thomas Kruger Dorado is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
Kruger Dorado is still 8th, keeping the gap to Constable Barry at just half a second as they start lap 45. Wait, Kruger Dorado is actually in 7th now, maintaining that half-second gap as he looks for a way into the top 6. Sky, can you share some strategies that drivers use to manage tire degradation during a race?
Certainly, Hal. Some strategies include adjusting the car's setup for better tire life, altering driving lines to reduce wear, and using tire management techniques like lift and coast to preserve grip for as long as possible.
This is a thrilling battle, as Thomas edges closer to DCB in their fight for P6.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Crashy Kruger should use slipstreaming to their advantage and close the gap to David Constable Barry.
Constable Barry manages to find another 10th, slightly stretching his lead over Kruger Dorado to 6/10. Adam Tyus has set a personal best on lap 47, and he's now only 6/10 behind Thomas Kruger Dorado.
He's really found some late stint pace. Setting your best lap this far into the race shows he's managed his tires perfectly and is now ready to strike.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Kruger Dorado is chasing Daddy Dave in P6.
That driver is really pushing the limits. They're riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
Kruger Dorado has made a massive jump to 6th place, and he's now well clear of Constable Barry, who has fallen back to 8th. Dominic Fovarg is comfortably in 2nd, holding a massive 7-second lead over Chris Stokes as he pushes his Civic to the limit. Fovarg is absolutely pulling away now. That gap to Stokes has blown out to over 9 seconds. Adam Tyus is all over the back of Thomas Kruger Dorado for 6th place. Only 3/10 separates them.
This is the battle of the race right now. Tyus is looking to reclaim that spot, and he's using every inch of the curbs to try and find a way through.
Kruger Dorado has managed to double that gap, now sitting 6/10 clear of the hard-charging Adam Tyus. The gap between Balnikis in 10th and David Constable Barry remains over a second, but Balnikis is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 65 minutes?
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But David Constable Barry is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with John Bontakis and P10 doing everything they can to catch up.
Tyus seems to be putting the pressure on TKD.
Can they make it past without taking the paint off?
The gap remains at 0.6 as Tyus continues to shadow Kruger Dorado's every move through the corners. It's a battle of wills out there, with John trying to outsmart and outmaneuver David Constable Barry. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? Bontakis is in 10th and right on the tail of David Constable Barry, with just half a second between them. Tyus is keeping the pressure on in 7th, sitting just 0.4 behind Thomas Kruger Dorado on lap 50. The gap between Tyus and Crashy Kruger is getting smaller.
That's a great effort from Adam Tyus. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
Sam Zero is 12th and hounding Daniel Kosick for 11th, with only 0.4 between the two drivers. The gap is holding steady at 0.4, with Zero and Kosick locked in a tense battle for that final position outside the top 10.
Zero is really working the car hard. You can see the front end hunting for grip as he tries to stay tucked into that slipstream.
Tyus is still 7th, but the gap to Kruger Dorado has crept up to half a second after a slightly slower 55-second lap. Tyus is fighting back. He's reeled in Kruger Dorado, bringing that gap down to just 0.3 of a second. This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Sam Zero will need to keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
It's going to be tough for Zero, as Daniel Kosick seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Zero pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
The race is heating up as Thomas in 7th closes in on Adam Tyus. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
Indeed, the tension is palpable, as Kruger Dorado tries to reel in Adam Tyus. But Adam Tyus is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can Thomas Kruger Dorado find some extra pace to bring the fight to Adam Tyus?
Things don't seem to be going Sam Zero's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in, with a shout for gaining a place here.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
The gap between Zero and Daniel is widening. It's now up to 2.1 seconds. Every move counts now as TKD works to reel in Adam and overtake for P6. It's not looking good for Kruger Dorado. They are still behind Tyus, and the gap is increasing. They're going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. Sam Zero has fallen back significantly, now trailing Daniel Kosick by over 2 seconds as we enter the final hour of the race. Sam Zero is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Daniel Kosick at the moment.
It's not ideal for Sam Zero, but they can still turn this around. They need to concentrate on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Crashy Kruger trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Adam Tyus. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Thomas Kruger Dorado close in enough to mount a challenge? Zero continues to lose ground to Kosick. That gap has now ballooned out to 3.8 seconds. Looks like Sam is making a move. The gap to Kosick is now down to 1.8 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
It looks like Thomas Kruger Dorado is pushing hard to catch up to Adam Tyus. The gap is over a second, but Thomas Kruger Dorado is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Adam Tyus?
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with TKD in 7th determined to catch up. But we know Tyus isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. TKD is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
Well, it doesn't look like Sam Zero is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Donkey Kong. It looks like Daniel is pulling away from Sam. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through T8.
This is where the mental toughness of Sam Zero comes into play. They need to try push, even when things aren't going their way.
Kruger Dorado has lost his place to Adam Tyus and is now trailing him by nearly 2 seconds in 7th. The gap between Zero in 12th and Daniel Kosick remains over a second, but Zero is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 56 minutes?
This is where experience comes into play. Daniel Kosick has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Sam Zero is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the Titans?
A solid performance from Kruger Dorado, who is holding down 7th. Things are starting to get tense as Jareth Hallam manages to close the gap to Kruger Dorado. It's now down to 2.0 seconds.
This is where the mental strength of Crashy Kruger comes into play. They need to stay calm and composed under pressure.
The gap between Thomas and Jareth Hallam is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Thomas to even allow Jareth to get a look in. Good news for Hallam, the gap to Thomas has decreased. It's now down to 1.0 seconds.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
Daniel Kosick has reeled him in. He's right on the gearbox of Sam Zero, only a tenth of a second in it. Bodkin has decided to pit. Things don't seem to be going Jareth Hallam's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. Hallam is holding 8th, but Kruger Dorado has managed to jump up into 6th, sitting 1.3 seconds ahead.
Kruger Dorado has found another gear. Hallam is driving well, but that gap is just starting to stretch away from him as we head into the business end of the race.
Phil Bodkin is back on track in 8th after a long pit visit, and he's already right under the rear wing of Jareth Hallam. Bodkin wastes no time. He's moved past Hallam into 7th, though the gap is still a razor-thin 2/10.
That's the benefit of the fresh rubber. He could carry so much more speed through the apex, leaving Hallam with no way to defend that move.
Nigel Walters dives into the pits from 4th place, looking to make his final service with 53 minutes on the clock.
This is a critical stop. He's got to get back out ahead of that battling pack if he wants to keep his podium ambitions alive.
A strong showing from David, who is currently 9th.
Definitely, Hal. But they can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep pushing hard to stay in the game.
What a move! Daddy Dave has moved up to 7th.
Impressive! Daddy Dave is really showing their skill and determination out there.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Hallam trying to outsmart and outmaneuver John Boontakis. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? Things are going according to plan for Baldilocks, who is currently 3rd. Stokes is back on the podium in 3rd, holding a healthy 5-second buffer over Adam Tyus.
He's benefited from those stops ahead. Now he just needs to keep it clean and manage the gap to the flag.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Walters will need to keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But David Constable-Barry is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Nigel Walters and P8 doing everything they can to catch up.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Fat Dog Phil, as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time.
It's not over till the checkered flag drops, though, and it's important they don't lose concentration at this point.
It's looking good for Martin Mall, sitting in 1st. It's all about consistency for Fovarg, who is currently 2nd. Fovarg is absolutely dominant now, holding nearly a 12-second lead over Martin Mall at the front of the field. Nigel Walters is circulating in 8th after his stop, with 2.5 seconds to make up on Constable Barry.
He's got the pace to do it. That 64.6 is a great response on cold tires, so expect that gap to tumble over the next few laps.
Tyus is placed 4th at the moment.
Absolutely, and they need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
A solid performance from Sam, who is holding down 11th.
Definitely. But they can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers who are gunning for that position, and Sam has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
A strong showing from Fat Dog Phil, who is currently 4th.
That's right. They can't afford to make any mistakes or let up in their performance. Every point counts in this championship.
John Bantakis is in a bit of a lonely 10th place right now, but he's comfortably 26 seconds ahead of Sam 0.
He had another slow lap there, 71 seconds, but he has such a massive cushion that it hasn't cost him a position yet. He just needs to bring it home.
That gap has exploded. Bantakis is now nearly a full minute clear of Sam 0, who has fallen to 12th.
Something must have gone very wrong for the cars behind. Bantakis is just cruising now, with no one even remotely close to challenging his 10th place.
The crowd is on tenterhooks as 0 in 12th chases after Daniel Kosick. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Sam 0 find a way to catch up? The tension is building as Thomas Krüger trails behind Jareth Hallam. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Jareth Hallam hold on, or will Thomas Krüger be able to close them down?
It's going to be tough for Thomas Krüger as Jareth Hallam seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Thomas Krüger pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
It's all about consistency for Moll, who is currently 1st.
Definitely Hal, but they can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep pushing hard to stay in the game.
A commanding performance from Martin Moll, who has increased their lead over Fovarg, putting them firmly in their rearview mirrors. TKD is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play. Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Krüger wants to be careful not to overdo it.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Kosick trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Sam 0. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Daniel Kosick close in enough to mount a challenge? Kosick is still in 12th and has 2.2 seconds to bridge if he wants to get back on the tail of Sam 0.
He's definitely got the pace to do it if he can just keep those lap times consistent. 2 seconds can disappear very quickly if 0 hits traffic.
Oh, this is getting intense. Thomas is just a few car lengths behind Jareth Hallam. Phil Bodkin is looking very strong in 4th, holding nearly a 7-second lead over Constable Barry as we head into the final 45 minutes. It looks like Bodkin has been called into the pits. Looks like Crashy Krüger is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. I think they are going to take them.
The best laid plans of mice and men, huh, Sky? But it's certainly not going to plan for Thomas Kruger-Dorado right now, as they are struggling to keep up with Jareth Hallam.
This is a frustrating situation for Thomas Kruger-Dorado, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Jareth Hallam.
Sam Zero has dropped behind Kosick and is now hounding him from 12th, sitting just a second back. The race is heating up as Jareth Hallam in 9th closes in on Thomas Kruger-Dorado. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
That's right, Jareth Hallam in 9th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Thomas Kruger-Dorado is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
The gap between Nigel Walters and Phil is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Nigel to even allow Phil to get a look in.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Phil is going to have to get more serious with practice if they don't want to be outclassed on the circuit.
It looks like we might get a battle between Botters and Nigel Walters. The gap between Hallam in 9th and Thomas Kruger-Dorado remains over a second, but Hallam is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 43 minutes?
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Jareth Hallam in 9th determined to catch up. But we know Thomas Kruger-Dorado isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Jareth Hallam is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
Phil Bodkin is currently 6th, just 1 second away from re-entering the slipstream of Nigel Walters. The battle for 4 is heating up as David Constable-Berry tries to catch Walters in P4.
This is where every inch counts. David is pushing hard to close the gap on Nigel. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
The crowd is on their feet, roaring with excitement. It's an all-out war between these three drivers. Who will emerge victorious? Your guess is as good as mine.
Exactly, Hal. It's like a high-stakes chess match on wheels. These drivers are analyzing every move and trying to anticipate their opponent's next move. It's a true test of their mental acuity.
The crowd is on tenterhooks as Kruger-Dorado in 7th chases after Adam Tyus. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Thomas Kruger-Dorado find a way to catch up? The tension is building as Chris Stokes trails behind Phil Bodkin. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Phil Bodkin hold on, or will Chris Stokes be able to close them down? It's not going to plan for Chris. They are still behind Bodkin, and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
This is a tough situation for Chris. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
The pressure is on for Fat Dog Phil as they try to catch up to knock off Nigel. Bodkin has surged up to 4th. He's absolutely hunting down Nigel Walters for that final podium spot, trailing by only half a second. Things don't seem to be going Constable Barry's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in, with a shout for gaining a place here.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Bodkin trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Nigel Walters. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Phil Bodkin close in enough to mount a challenge?
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Nigel Walters is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Phil Bodkin in P4 doing everything they can to catch up.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. It seems like David is on fire. They have just put in their best lap.
Can David keep improving?
It's a battle of wills out there, with Adam Tyus trying to outsmart and outmaneuver David Constable Barry. The gap is slowly closing. The time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race?
It's going to be tough for Adam Tyus, as David Constable Barry seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Adam Tyus pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
This is what it's all about, folks. David Constable Barry is in hot pursuit of Jareth Hallam, who's just trying to stay ahead. The gap between Constable Barry and Jareth Hallam is growing. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. It's looking good for Mole, sitting in first.
Yes, but they have to keep their focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
David Constable Barry is on a mission, chasing Hallam, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Constable Barry has got to stay patient and wait for Jareth Hallam to make a mistake.
DCB could be on a charge here. Sky, they have just put in a quicker lap than Hallam.
The question is now, can Jareth respond to that in kind? They are going to have to pick up the pace.
We're watching Hallam in 7th, and is currently being hounded by Constable Barry with a gap of just 0.2 seconds.
It's a close race as we can see, and Jareth Hallam is doing a great job defending their position. Will DCB be able to squeeze through?
The pursuit is on. David Constable Barry is closing the gap on Jareth Hallam, determined to claim P7.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
It seems like David has got the bit between their teeth, improving on Hallam's lap time there. It looks like Jareth Hallam is in control. They're ahead of DCB by over a second, and it doesn't look like they're going to be challenged anytime soon. He can't hold on. Jareth Hallam is losing time to David Constable Barry.
This is where the pressure really starts to mount on Jareth. Gotta focus and avoid making any mistakes.
The race is heating up as Phil Bodkin in fourth closes in on Nigel Walters. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
Absolutely, Botters in fourth will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Hallam, who is currently in P8. But David Constableberry is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Jareth Hallam.
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Jareth Hallam in 8th determined to catch up. But we know Daddy Dave isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Jareth Hallam is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
A strong showing from Dominic Fovarg, who is currently second. Impressive driving from Dom, who has managed to extend their lead over Walters. They are walking away at this point. Does Walters have anything in reserve?
That's exactly what Dominic needed to do.
The gap between Hallam in 8th and David Constableberry remains over a second, but Hallam is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 33 minutes?
This is where experience comes into play. David Constableberry has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Jareth Hallam is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the Titans?
Chris Stokes has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Fat Dog Phil. I expect their only hope at this point is that Phil makes an error.
They certainly aren't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon, unless it's down to a mistake from Phil.
Wow, Bodkin is really pushing it. They're coming up fast, Chris Stokes, and there's no way they can make that turn. Bodkin is pitting. The crowd is on tenterhooks as Jareth Hallam in 8th chases after David Constableberry. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Jareth Hallam find a way to catch up?
Indeed, the tension is palpable as Hallam tries to reel in David Constableberry. But David Constableberry is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can Jareth Hallam find some extra pace to bring the fight to Daddy Dave?
Hallam is up in the 7th and is trying to reel in David Constableberry, who sits 1.6 seconds ahead.
It's a big ask at this stage of the race. He needs to find something special in the braking zones to start making a dent in that gap.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Phil will need to keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. Nigel is in the pits. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Bodkin as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time. Wait, Bodkin has fallen all the way back to 9th. He's now trailing Adam Tyus by a second and a half.
What a disaster. He was fighting for the podium moments ago, and now he's fighting just to stay in the top 10. Must have been a massive error or contact.
It looks like Walters is pushing hard to catch up to Phil Bodkin. The gap is over a second, but Walters is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Phil Bodkin? It's not looking good for Nigel Walters. They are still behind Fat Dog Phil, and the gap is increasing. They are going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. It's a battle of wills out there, with David trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Thomas Kruger Dorado. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race?
It's going to be tough for David Constable-Berry, as Thomas Kruger-Dorado seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen David Constable-Berry pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
Jareth Hallam has decided to pit. The race is heating up as Botters in 7th closes in on Adam Tyus. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
That's right, Phil Bodkin in 7th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Adam Tyus is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
Constable-Berry is on a charge in 5th, getting that gap to Kruger-Dorado under the 1 second mark on lap 82. David is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Crashy Kruger to 0.6 seconds.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
Look at that, Fat Dog Phil is hot on the tail of Tyus. Bodkin is recovering. He's back up to 7th and is right on the tail of Adam Tyus, just 0.5 back. A great pass for Phil Bodkin as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Adam Tyus has lost ground. It looks like Adam Tyus has been called into the pits. The tension is building as David trails behind Thomas Kruger-Dorado. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing and the pressure is mounting. Can Thomas Kruger-Dorado hold on? Or will David Constable-Berry be able to close them down?
Absolutely. Daddy Dave in 5th will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an offer damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
Well, it doesn't look like Nigel is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Phil.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Nigel is going to have to get more serious with practice if they don't want to be outclassed on the circuit.
Things are going according to plan for TKD, who is currently 5th. Stokes is looking very comfortable in 3rd, holding a massive 16-second lead over Constable-Berry as we enter the final stretch. Some great driving from Stokes, who has increased their lead over David and is starting to put some distance between them. The gap between Kruger-Dorado and Adam Tyus is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake for Thomas to even allow Adam to get a look in.
It's not over till the checkered flag drops, though, and it's important they don't lose concentration at this point.
Things don't seem to be going Walter's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. The gap between John in 10th and Jareth Hallam remains over a second, but John is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 25 minutes?
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Jareth Hallam is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with John Bountakis in P10 doing everything they can to catch up.
The crowd is on tenterhooks as Sam Zero in 12th chases after Daniel Kosick. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Sam Zero find a way to catch up? Daniel has pulled into the pits. It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Hallam, who is currently in P9. But Adam Tyus is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Jareth Hallam. The gap between Jareth Hallam and Adam Tyus is getting smaller.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. Both drivers will need to stay calm and focused if they want to come out on top.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Zero, as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time.
They certainly aren't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon, unless it's down to a mistake from Daniel.
Adam Tyus has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Thomas Kruger Dorado. I expect their only hope at this point is that Thomas makes an error.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Zero will need to keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checker flag drops. The race is heating up as Jareth in 9th closes in on Adam Tyus. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
Indeed, the tension is palpable as Jareth Hallam tries to reel in Adam Tyus, but Adam Tyus is not making it easy. Maintaining a consistent pace. Can Jareth Hallam find some extra pace to bring the fight to Adam Tyus?
It's a battle of wills out there, with Zero trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Daniel Kosick. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? The gap between Tyus and Hallam is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Adam to even allow Jareth to get a look in. It looks like Jareth Hallam is making a move. The gap to Adam Tyus is now down to 0.7 seconds. It may seem like Jareth Hallam is far behind, but Adam Tyus can't afford to let their guard down. One mistake could give Jareth Hallam an opening to catch up. Oh no, Sky, look at this. Hallam is closing in on Adam Tyus. The gap is now just 0.4 seconds.
This is a real test for Tyus. They need to find some extra pace and hold off Hallam if they want to win this race.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Hallam trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Adam Tyus. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Jareth Hallam close in enough to mount a challenge? It's going to be tough. Tyus is a master at defending their position. Is there enough time for Jareth Hallam to make a move? They're going to be even more determined to hold on to that position.
That's right. Tyus is showing some great form, and it looks like Hallam won't be able to catch up, barring any mistakes.
It's all about consistency for John, who is currently 10th. John Bountakis is in the pits. Jareth Hallam is putting the pressure on Tyus through T10, sitting just 6/10 back as they battle for 8th place. A brilliant maneuver from Hallam, who has just moved up the field. The tension is building as Tyus trails behind Jareth Hallam. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing and the pressure is mounting. Can Jareth Hallam hold on, or will Adam Tyus be able to close them down? It looks like Jareth Hallam is pulling away from Adam. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through T5.
Tyus is really going to need to push in T5 to try and gain some ground on Jareth Hallam before they disappear into the sunset.
Things don't seem to be going Hallam's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. That's looking good for Chris Stokes, sitting in 3rd.
Absolutely, and they need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
A strong showing from Martin Moll, who is currently 1st. David Constable Barry is placed 4th at the moment. While Thomas Kruger Dorado is not under immediate threat from Jareth Hallam, they still need to avoid errors. Any slip-up could cost them their position. The crowd is on tenterhooks as Martin Moll in 2nd chases after Dominic Fovarg. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Martin Moll find a way to catch up?
This is where experience comes into play. Dominic Fovarg has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Moll is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the Titans?
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Hallam will need to keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. Hallam has just put in a faster lap than Thomas, so that's going to give them something to worry about.
We will have to see if Crashy Kruger has got any answers for that.
Hold your breath, folks. These drivers are showing exceptional car control, threading the needle through tight corners. It's a battle for supremacy.
No doubt about it, Hal. The battle for supremacy between these drivers is fierce. The way they navigate through those tight corners is a testament to their skill and determination.
Jareth Hallam is running 8th. They're trying to catch TKD.
Will Jareth Hallam be able to make a move and pass Kruger Dorado?
It's game on now. Jareth Hallam has closed the gap to Thomas Kruger Dorado. It's now down to 0.3 seconds.
Exactly what Jareth needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to Thomas Kruger Dorado.
The tension is palpable. These drivers are showing tremendous respect for each other while going all out. It's a masterclass in clean, hard racing.
You're absolutely right, Hal. The different strategies employed by these drivers add another layer of excitement. It's fascinating to see how they adapt their approach to gain a competitive edge.
Well, it doesn't look like Jareth Hallam is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Thomas. Jareth Hallam needs to get more consistent. Sky, they have just put in a slower lap than Thomas, Kruger, Dorado. How do racing drivers like yourself back in the day, Sky, train themselves to maintain concentration for long periods of time?
Mental training is a huge part of a driver's preparation, Hal. Techniques like meditation, visualization, and working with sports psychologists can help drivers build their mental endurance for a race.
Jareth Hallam has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Crashy Kruger. I expect their only hope at this point is that Thomas makes an error.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Hallam is going to have to get more serious with practice if they don't want to be outclassed on the circuit.
It's a nail-biting showdown between these three drivers. They're nose to tail, pushing their limits in every corner. It's not going to plan for Darren Nickel. They are still behind Sam Zero, and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
Darren needs to pick up the pace, for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
The gap between Crashy Kruger and Jareth Hallam is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Thomas to even allow Jareth to get a look in. Looks like we might get a battle between Hallam and Thomas Kruger Dorado.
That's a great effort from Jareth Hallam. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for knockoff Nigel, who is currently in P5. But Phil Bodkin is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Nigel Walters. It looks like Hallam is pushing hard to catch up to Thomas Kruger Dorado. The gap is over a second, but Hallam is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Thomas Kruger Dorado? The best laid plans of mice and men, huh, Sky? But it's certainly not going to plan for Jareth right now, as they are struggling to keep up with Thomas.
This is where the mental toughness of Hallam comes into play. They need to try push, even when things aren't going their way.
Walters is pitting. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Hallam, as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time.
It's not over till the checkered flag drops, though, and it's important they don't lose concentration at this point.
Fantastic move from Jareth Hallam, who has just gained a position.
Absolutely. Jareth Hallam is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
It's a battle of wills out there, with DK trying to outsmart and outmaneuver John Bontakis. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race?
That's right. Kosick in 11th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But John Bontakis is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
A solid performance from Daddy Dave, who he's holding down 5th.
Definitely, Hal. But they can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep pushing hard to stay in the game.
Great driving from Constable Barry, who has just gained a place and moved up to 4th.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
And Kruger Dorado is having to make that Honda Civic Type REP3 track as wide as possible to try and keep Hallam behind them. Impressive stuff from Thomas Kruger Dorado, who has managed to pull away from Jareth Hallam, leaving them choking in their exhaust fumes.
Yes, it's clear the Crashy Kruger is in control out there. They're making it very difficult for Jareth Hallam to catch up.
The gap between Hallam in 7th and Thomas Kruger Dorado remains over a second, but Hallam is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 9 minutes? It's all about consistency for Constable Barry, who is currently 4th. The gap between David Constable Barry and Phil Bodkin is getting smaller. It's now down to 10.3 seconds. The race is heating up as Jareth Hallam in 7th closes in on Thomas Kruger Dorado. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
Absolutely. Jareth Hallam in 7th will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
It looks like Hallam has been called into the pits. Kruger Dorado is currently 6th and has just over 7 minutes to find 2 seconds on Phil Bodkin ahead. The gap between Thomas Kruger Dorado and Fat Dog Phil is widening. It's now up to 3.1 seconds. This is wheel-to-wheel racing at its finest. The drivers are practically glued together as they fight for every inch of track. It's a battle you don't want to miss. It's not looking good for Nicole. They are still behind Sam 0, and the gap is increasing. They're going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
This is a frustrating situation for Darren Nicole, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Sam.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Fovarg will need to keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
It's going to be tough for Dominic Fovarga, as Martimo seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Dominic Fovarga pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Tyus trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Thomas Kruger Dorado. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Adam Tyus close in enough to mount a challenge? Adam Tyus appears to be losing ground on Thomas. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into T9 and see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. It's looking good for Kruger Dorado, sitting in 8th. It seems like Thomas is struggling. They are not able to maintain their pace.
Can Kruger-Dorado refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
The tension is building as Tyus trails behind Thomas Kruger-Dorado. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Thomas Kruger-Dorado hold on, or will Adam Tyus be able to close them down? A strong showing from Thomas Kruger-Dorado, who is currently 8th. Excellent work from Thomas Kruger-Dorado, who has managed to increase their lead over Adam Tyus. They seem to have found their rhythm, and they are grooving to it. Well, it doesn't look like Adam Tyus is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Thomas. Adam Tyus is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far, they are 0.5 seconds down.
Can Adam Tyus refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
Thomas is placed 8th at the moment. Things are starting to get tense as Adam Tyus manages to close the gap to Kruger-Dorado. It's now down to 0.2 seconds. It looks like Zero is pushing hard to catch up to John Boontakis. The gap is over a second, but Zero is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on John Boontakis? Sam Zero is in 12th, but he's still looking at a huge 16-second gap to bridge if he wants to catch Bounticus. It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other.
You can feel the intensity in the air. The slightest mistake could cost either of them the race.
It's looking good for Crashy Kruger, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Adam Tyus. This is where the race gets really interesting. Adam Tyus is closing in on Kruger-Dorado.
It's a game of strategy now as Adam hunts down Thomas. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
The gap between Adam and Thomas Kruger-Dorado is growing. It's now up to 1.2 seconds. A solid performance from Kruger-Dorado, who is holding down 8th.
Yes, but they have to keep their focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
A commanding performance from Thomas Kruger-Dorado, who has increased their lead over Adam, putting them firmly in their rearview mirrors.
It's really looking like Kruger-Dorado is going to be tough to pass today. They're driving with real confidence and authority.
Adam Tyus is in 9th and trying to reel in Kruger-Dorado, but he's still 1.4 seconds adrift with the clock nearly out. It's all about consistency for Daniel, who is currently 10th.
That's right. They can't afford to make any mistakes or let up in their performance. Every point counts in this championship.
Things don't seem to be going Dom's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shot for gaining a place here.
They certainly aren't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon, unless it's down to a mistake from Martin Mall.
Civic is placed 10th at the moment. They are hoping to keep their distance ahead of John Bantakis, who is 0.7 seconds behind.
Surely they've got enough in the tank to pull away. Going to be interesting to watch this battle unfold.
Look at this guy, what a shame for Daniel. They've lost P10 to John, and that's gotta hurt.
Absolutely. They need to rethink their approach and come up with something new, or they risk losing even more ground. On the other hand, John Bantakis has been making some impressive moves and looks like a serious contender.
The gap between Adam Tyus in 9th and Thomas Dorado remains over a second, but Adam Tyus is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 0 minutes?
Martin Mol is just seconds away from a truly flawless victory. Absolutely peerless today, with a 9-second cushion over Fovarg.
The leader has just finished the race. A fantastic result from Martin Mol.
That was a true masterclass in driving from Mall. You could see them making split-second decisions with total confidence, and it really paid off. What a performance.
Some might say that second place is the first loser, but Dominic certainly doesn't see it that way. They put in a phenomenal effort and should be proud of their impressive result.
Intense race, but Dominic held their nerve and earned a great second place.
Coming in 5th, 6th, 12th, and 13th, we have Phil Bodkin, Nigel Walters, Sam Zero, and Darren Nickel. Excellent work from Baldylocks to secure 3rd place on the podium. Finishing 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th is Jareth Hallam, Thomas Kruger Dorado, Adam Tyus, and John Buntakis. David Constable Barry and Daniel Kosis in 4th and 11th.